John Alzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Alzheimer.
Hey there, this is John Alzheimer. I am a consumer credit expert. I have almost 30 years of experience in the credit industry. I have spent time at FICO, which is the company behind the FICO credit scoring system, and Equifax, which is one of the 3 generally recognized credit reporting agencies in the US. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the methods that are commonly used to build credit for the first time. So building credit for the first time is almost like any other quote-unquote first-time experience. I mean, you know, the first time you buy a house, or the first time you buy a car, the first credit card that you apply for. These are all firsts, right? You can't have a second first. So it's very, important that when you're considering your options on how to build credit for the first time, now I'm not talking about rebuilding credit after like a bankruptcy or a job loss or anything like trying to rehab your credit score if your credit score is bad. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the legitimate first time you establish or build credit. And the reason this is important is because the first time you apply for credit, your credit report is going to be empty. You will not have a credit report. You are not born with a credit report. The credit reporting agencies don't know that you exist and then somehow assign you a credit report. Nothing is in their system until you apply for credit for the first time. And generally what happens is that you will end up with what's called an inquiry-only credit report, because the inquiry from this lender is what essentially creates your credit report for the first time. So when you apply for the first time, that you really serves a couple of purposes. Number one, you're getting your first account, your first loan, your first credit card, whatever it is that you want. And you're also creating your credit report. So you're really kind of killing a variety of birds with that one stem. So the first way that I can tell you how I did it, and so to the extent that it's applicable to you, then great. And I think this strategy is still pretty common. Like, my father added me as an authorized user on one of his credit cards when I was 18 years old. This was a really long time ago, over almost 4 decades ago. And so the strategy of building credit for the first time by being an authorized user on someone else's credit card is still pretty common today. Number 2 is you can take out what's called a credit builder loan, and a credit builder loan is generally issued by a credit union. And the credit union, it's a low dollar loan paid back over a very short period of time, usually no more than 6 to 12 months. And the payments are usually pretty low. The amount is usually pretty low. It's usually not more than $500 or $1,000 in the loan amount. And by making your payments on time every month for this really low dollar loan, you're essentially building your credit report, because the credit union is reporting the activity on the loan to the credit reporting agencies. And really the purpose of this loan is to build credit, which is why it's called a credit builder loan. Another way is to, and I don't really like this very much, is the cosigner option. So having somebody cosign for you. This tends to be a little bit messier, because you start to kind of commingle liability with someone that may not necessarily be a very good credit risk. And so generally what happens there is 2 people will sign for one obligation. It's called co-signing, but it really should be called also signing, because you have 2 people that are equally liable for a debt or an account, and therefore you see the debt showing up on both credit reports. Not my favorite option, but it is still an option nonetheless. Next is a secured credit card, and the secured credit card is you make a deposit with a credit card issuer, and the credit card issuer gives you a credit card with an equal or similar amount as the credit limit. And this is an effective way of getting an account with a pretty low credit limit, because you're not going to give them thousands and thousands of dollars. Generally, the credit limits on those are going to be a few $100s. But nonetheless, it's an effective way of getting something positive, building a credit report for the first time. Just be aware that, especially with credit cards that have those really low limits, it's really easy to heavily utilize them even for modest purchases, and that's not necessarily a very good thing for your credit score. So there you go, 4 options on how to build credit for the first time. Kind of the, a little bit of my opinion as to whether they're a good idea or not necessarily the best idea. So if you have any other questions about credit building strategies, drop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get to them. Thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day. We'll talk again soon.
For more videos and credit tips from John Olsheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.